Welcome to another Smart Money Concepts video. Are you familiar with the origin of taxes? Did you know that there was a period when there was no such thing as tax? The first taxation record began in Egypt at around 3000 BC, and taxes were even stated in the Bible. Citizens were originally taxed in times of war to help with the defense. Governments, on the other hand, fell in love with the concept of tax and made it the standard. Taxes are not inherently evil. It's actually a representation of the government's ability to manage society. It becomes bad, though, if those in power abuse it for their own personal gains. Actually, some people think that governments can stop collecting taxes. It's known that each country has its own array of natural resources and can even create different income-generating industries to obtain money. But of course, taxes are a part of the country's financial policy, hence the government just can't stop taking them. However, taxes can also be too burdensome for people, especially the masses. Honestly, the concept of tax the rich in reality is quite controversial, because once the government decides to increase taxes, the rich are not affected. The poor and middle-class people pay for it. Yes, they are the ones who are greatly affected by it. But why? Why are the wealthy ones paying less taxes than the regular workers? In this video, I'll share with you the 7 main reasons why rich people pay fewer taxes than you. Before we get started though, don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more Smart Money Concepts videos. Number 1. Rich people have choices. Yes, as simple as that. They have options. If the government of a certain country decided to tax the wealthy class, they would just place their money in some other countries, like the British Virgin Islands or even in Swiss banks, and they actually have the capacity to do so since it is their money. You must know that the wealthy have no loyalty to any country, and if you have millions or billions of dollars, you can easily go to any country in the world as long as you're not a criminal. The rich can freely put their money wherever they please. Just imagine the lengths that the rich are willing to go just to avoid paying huge taxes. I know what you're thinking. Of course, it would be impossible to ask the government to make it illegal for the rich to transfer their wealth from one country to the other. It is a mere violation of freedom. So yes, the government can't do much except creating agreements with the rich. That's the only way that governments can keep the funds in their system and maintain the richest citizens' money in their respective countries. Number 2. The rich maintain their money in the system. Moving on to the second reason. As I've mentioned, the rich keep their money in the system. But what is this system, you ask? This equates to the economy of a country. If wealthy people move their money out of the system, surely the economy would dwindle. So governments are very specific in incentivizing the rich so that they keep their money in the system. The incentive? Tax loopholes and cuts. The richest people have figured out an effective way to shield their money, and it's actually beneficial for the government too. For example, you have approximately $3 billion. Surely the government would want you to keep your billions in the system, rather than ask you to pay for taxes which could amount to several $1,000,000. With tax loopholes, your $3 billion remains, the economy doesn't subside, and the government doesn't have a problem. Do you want to know more about the tax structure in our country? We got you. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to get notified whenever Smart Money Concepts posts a new video. Number 3. The rich fund politicians. Well, it's not really a secret that the rich usually fund the campaigns of political candidates to safeguard their personal interests. They give their $1,000,000 checks to finance candidates so they can avoid being badgered by the government regarding taxes. There have been various instances where the wealthy have influenced political outcomes. This is especially true when a certain candidate threatens to destroy the company they've worked so hard to develop. As a result, the rich fight with all the resources that they have, and they usually win. The politicians, however, are required to listen to the views of these rich investors to keep the campaign donations coming in. And yes, politicians ask about their outlook on tax and financial policies. Talk about a mutually beneficial relationship. Number 4. The wealthy are not paid. Income taxes do not affect the rich. Why? Because technically, they are not paid. The working class is compensated through salaries, income, wages, and so on, but super wealthy individuals can dodge taxation because they pay themselves low to no salaries at all. Just recently, reports claim that some billionaires, including Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, have paid little to no income tax at all over the past few decades. Their fortunes grow immensely through their company shares, yet they are not considered as income. They don't have gains, nor do they sell stocks, hence they can't be taxed. And they also have another scheme to avoid paying taxes. It's called asset-based lending. This permits them to borrow money from their portfolio when they need it. Of course, the loans coming out of portfolio or financial investments aren't reported and aren't taxable. Listen, the rich know how to uncover tax loopholes, find credits and deductions, and use them for their own benefits. Number 5. The rich are not considered individuals. Similar to the fourth reason, the rich aren't considered by the tax system as individuals. For example, if a billionaire owns a profitable company, he would recognize himself as a valuable asset to the company, not a mere employee like everyone else. His expenses would also be covered by his firm, so he wouldn't have to pay taxes as an individual. This is the main reason why they do not have income, and why they only pay minimal to zero taxes. Listen, companies are usually taxed based on their profits, and this is calculated by subtracting the expenses from the total revenue. Of course, there's a minimal amount of taxes that are paid because the total profits are computed, but this doesn't affect the lifestyles of the rich at all, because again, their expenditures are covered and paid by their companies. Well, honestly, this is somehow reasonable because the wealthy are actually considered living assets to their businesses. Need someone to tell you more information about taxes? Don't worry, we will guide you on your financial journey. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to get notified whenever Smart Money Concepts posts a new video. Number 6. The wealthy employ the working class. Did you know income tax rates are higher than capital gains tax? Yes, you heard it right. Although the US currently maintains a decent tax system for salaries, its progressiveness has dropped significantly in recent decades as a result of tax cuts for the wealthiest. It's truly unfair that the middle class pay higher tax rates than the rich, and this partiality is even linked to higher income inequality in America. But why is it built this way? It's actually simple. The rich provide the income of the middle class. They own the businesses, corporations, firms, and enterprises that employ the working class. They give the middle class their salaries. They provide livelihood. But remember, these institutions are actually assisting the government in collecting taxes from their workers. For example, when an employee tries to avoid paying taxes, his or her company will help the government go after the said employee. And this partnership actually works for both entities, the government and the rich. Number 7. They attend to matters for the government. According to the U.S. Department of Treasury, the richest Americans are actually avoiding income taxes amounting to almost $163 billion. Just imagine the number of health and social safety net programs that could be funded by this large amount of money. But of course, the government acquiesces to the demands of the rich. Why? Because the rich perform specific undertakings that are beneficial to the society as a whole. In fact, some of these activities are meant to be the responsibility of the government. In many nations, the wealthy are engaged in social responsibility, and they are given favors because of it. Their taxes might be decreased or they might not pay anything at all, but it actually depends on the social responsibility that they have executed. This is also a win-win situation for the wealthy. In many cases, they spend almost the same amount of money on these social responsibilities as they would have on taxes. And when they spend their funds instead of giving them to the government, they have control over it. They know where the money goes. Furthermore, social responsibility makes them look good to the people. It helps the public see the rich as a positive force in the community. Consider an affluent businessman with a huge enterprise in the road transport sector repairing roads in the countryside and doing this on behalf of the government. These are just some of the key thoughts and ideas as to why the wealthy pay less taxes than the working class. I hope you learned from it as much as I did. So there it is, the 7 reasons why rich people pay less taxes than you. But before you continue down the road towards becoming rich, you should click the like and subscribe buttons now to make sure that you don't miss our next video.